Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Well, Larry Sonnenberg sitting in for Steve today, and I'm blessed to be with Alice Benton, Dr. Alice Benton. Hi, Alice.
Hey, everybody.
And
Becky Brown.
I know that.
And oh, what's her name?
Man, if I have a pause, she's impatient.
In case you forgot me, because I haven't been allowed to be in here for a while, so I'm back.
Bruce's wife is with us today.
Thanks for letting me play.
We were just talking at break about books that Dave Stoop wrote, how foundational they were in so many areas. I just wanted to, with that thought, I wanted to remind folks that tomorrow we're going to air the second part of a tribute to Dave Stoop. You know, we lost him last week, and he was so important to us, this ministry, to Steve, and we're going to miss him. But we know where he's at, so we have joy for that. But think about his books if you're thinking of a good book. I was saying, forgiving what you'll never forget is foundational. If you have issues where you are stuck in forgiveness, you know, that is the book. And then the other one, Alice and I were talking about, is Rethink How You Think. And he talks about meditating on the word and how that changes. Literally, the neuroscience will back him up. He talks about that it changes your brain. It changes the way that you approach things. And even offers different topics that he offers the scriptures that you can meditate on for those like anger, for example, or depression. Well, and then he wrote Making Peace with Your Father. And that's his story. I mean, what a wonderful story that he had to make peace with his father after his father died. So anyway, we were just remembering Dave Stoop. Tune in tomorrow for that. Let's go right to the phones. Let's talk with Joy. Joy listens from Boston on WEZE. Hello, Joy. How can we help you?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. The reason I'm calling is because I was listening to Lydia and her grief for losing her daughter. It just triggered so much in me. I've had a long life depression, and discovering that I have a hoarding disorder and that I've been taken to court, and if I don't get rid of like 50% of what I have, they will evict me. I was okay until the pandemic, and then I kind of backslid, and now trying to deal with it, and I just feel it's so hard to move forward from the pandemic because I lost my ex-husband. My daughter got it. She survived it, but I've had so many losses, one right after another, especially a therapist that I've had for over 20 years. That was the hardest. Just so many losses that I cannot even count. And so the worst of my grief and depression is facing it alone with no family, no church family, just being alone. I get very anxious, very depressed, and I really do have to admit, I think about how it would be better to not be alive. And I was with my ex-husband through his illness before he passed, that all he wanted to do was die. All he wanted to do was die. And I have felt so much of his pain then, and especially since he passed, which is, through the pandemic now. I feel like him. It's weird, the stuff he would say, the pain he would feel.
Joy, if there was one question that you could ask before our break, what would that question be?
I guess it would be how to get unstuck with it, move forward with an action that unfreeze me, I guess.
Well, I've got two brilliant women here who are going to tell you exactly that when we come back.
Great.
So you hold on. Thank you for supporting.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for supporting New Life. We appreciate your donations. We're going to come back and help Joy here in just a minute.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop March the 27th. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Workshop will be held online Saturday, March 27th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We're talking with Joy, and Joy has suffered a lot of loss. She's been hoarding, and she wants to know how to get unstuck. So, Alice, Becky?
Joy, it stands out to me that you talked about facing it alone. And because you have lost such important people, I understand that you are facing a lot of things alone. And I think with how much value you got from that therapist who was with you for all that time, that you can't do this alone. And that you'll have to risk letting new people into your life, new people that you're willing to allow to bring truth and grace, to push, to challenge you, and even to reveal all that's embarrassing and uncomfortable about hoarding in your home and your character and your relationships. As you imagine letting someone new in that close and quickly because you're facing the possible eviction, what does that stir up in you right now, imagining that?
Fear, terror. I just feel like I'm losing me. I don't have Christians around me. I would only be able to get help from a Mystic Valley Elder Services program a stranger who I do not know. And so the fear comes up in me.
And tell me, Joy, I'm afraid that what if I let in somebody new?
I'm afraid that they will take what's left of me.
You know, the interesting thing is, Joy, I know that a lot of folks who struggle with hoarding identify closely with the belongings. There's a phenomenon that occurs that you actually feel part of those things, yes, are part of you. And so it'll be real important in this. Yeah, you have a relationship with the stuff. And we have to shift that perspective that you have of who joy is. And that joy isn't the stuff. And that if someone is allowed to come and help you, that it's going to bring the real joy to the surface. I mean, literally and figuratively. I love that your name is Joy. I'm sad that you don't have it right now.
I chose the name Joy because of a life of depression, but it was given to me in one of the churches from a woman years ago. And so I chose that because it's totally opposite of how I feel. I don't feel any joy at all.
So the thing about it is, though, if you have a belief in God, right, Joy?
Yes, I do. It's the only thing that made me survive. I've been through.
Right. So if you look at the question that Alice asked, what are you afraid of? One of the ways that I like to position that question is that, if you're a believer, if you know that God is trustworthy, whatever you're afraid of, He's got it. You've lived through a lot of really difficult things, and you're here for a purpose. And this whole big mess that you're in right now is just part of a chapter. It's not who you are. And, you mentioned some social help that would be part of maybe a process that would be, moving forward. The willingness to do whatever it takes to move forward is going to be the hardest thing, I think, that you have facing you right now, Joy.
Let me just say one thing before Alice jumps in. You said you chose the name Joy. You have other choices to make. It's a choice to do so many different things. So you can choose fear, but you can choose doing something other than that, and they'll help you figure out how to do that better than I can. But I just want you to know it's a choice in life that you're going to be making, one after another.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at an ugly reality together, Joy, that if you don't make the decision to let someone in quickly and take that scary risk, it will be taken from you. And I hate that that's what you're facing, but that's what an eviction will do to you. You're also fighting this on a spiritual plane because the enemy wants to keep us afraid and stuck. And he wants us to find our value in things rather than in God. And so I think that there are two things you need. I want you to take on the scripture. God does not give me a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a strong mind. And I want that to be your daily prayer, probably multiple times a day. Because you can't believe it yet, experience that in your body yet, but you need to come to believe it. And you're going to use that as a shield to fight off the fiery darts of the enemy that want to keep you trapped and isolated.
Give her the address for that scripture.
I think it's 1 Timothy.
Okay.
It's in 1 Timothy. The other,
Timothy 7?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other step I want you to take, Joy, is I want you to reach out to some of the people that know and love you, 2 or 3, and ask them about the good that they see in you. Ask them for positive feedback about yourself. You don't know any?
No, I don't. I am very isolated, very alone. I don't know anybody to ask that question to.
Oh, I'm so sad for you that that's the case, Joy. Oh.
But that's why I want to encourage you. So Joy, that's why I want to encourage you to take advantage and use the services that you mentioned earlier today. It is one step in the right direction. And I would encourage you to ask them, okay, I don't know what this looks like, but I need help. And I know that I have access to you. And then begin that journey. It's going to be overwhelming at first, but know that just because you're feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean you're doing something wrong.
It feels very overwhelming. It does. Would the CD about grief by Henry Cloud and Jill, could that apply to the grief I feel about letting go?
Sure it does.
Sure, we'll send it to you.
Do you think that?
Yep.
I would appreciate it
And
because
I
don't have.
Go ahead.
I don't have anything about grief, or I can't relate or connect with someone about it. I do have a therapist, fairly new because of the one I lost, and that's been very, very painful. It's a completely different relationship altogether, and I understand that. But at the same time, I guess just feeling like I'm losing everything familiar to me, and just where am I?
Right.
You know.
Joy, Alice asked you to ask people, say positive things about what they know about you. I want to be the first one. I know that you're a person who loves God. I know you're a person that wants to do better than you're doing. I know you're a person that feels stuck. You're self-aware, and there's really good things about you. And you know that there will be steps to take. You know that there will be some pain in the process. But that's what we should expect in life. God expects us to go through some suffering in the process. But he'll be there with you, and you know that.
And I'll be the second. You're the kind of woman that will help care for your ex-husband in his pain and illness and in his death. That says a lot about you.
Yes. Thank you.
I
miss him terribly. When I told him that, he said, "You'll just get over it." That's what he said to me. Mm-hmm. He couldn't, hear me because he was in so much pain himself.
Right.
But I tried to be there as best as I could. I remember in a snowstorm, him calling me up at 1:00 in the morning, asking me to come over and help him because he was hurting really bad. Mm. And I had to clean off my car in the middle of the night in the dark parking lot. But I did that for him because I cared for him so much that it hurt so much when he passed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Joy, that's real love. That's self-sacrificial love. And that's the kind of woman you are. I come against what I believe to be a lie, that you're all alone. I don't think that's true. You have this new therapist. You have us. You have the New Life family. And I suspect there are more that it's hard to see or believe are in your life and know you and care about you to some extent. So I pray that God will reveal to you that there are others that know and see the good in you, and that He will give you the courage to risk with other new people.
And Joy, consider going to the Emotional Freedom Workshop a week from Saturday.
Great idea.
One
That
day.
was on my list.
Yeah, a one-day workshop. And let me just say, if money is a problem, if you say you can't afford it, talk to us. We'll get you a scholarship. We want you to come. It'll make all the difference in the world. We're going to send you that grief CD, and I think you'll find that helpful. Listen to it more than once, okay? And remember that scripture that Alice posed to you every day, several times a day. Speak that out loud, okay? Thank you for calling, Joy. We are going to go. I had several up there on the board that look good. Let's talk to Lena. Lena's on line 5, listens on WSNR.
Hi.
Hello. How can we
How
help
are you guys?
We're doing great.
Yes. Oh, good. My name is Lena. I'm calling because I'm in a very confused stage right now. I brought my husband from Africa about 5 years ago, and we had a lot of cultural clash. And during that period of time, he was verbally abusive to me, and it put my self-esteem down. And I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to leave the relationship. He called me several times. I took him back, but it just continued with the verbal abuse. And every time we get into argument, it was always verbally abusive. And I said I just gave up. And it's been 3 years. We got divorced in I put him divorce for 2019. He didn't want divorce. He came to the court with his sister-in-law to ask me to think about the little boy and to reconsider. But I went home and I told them to give me 30 days. I went home. I cried out to God. And I said, God, I know you don't like divorce. But in this situation, what do I do? And at that time, I was also talking to a very nice gentleman who talked to me so nice and calming. He's still the same. But I keep on thinking about the little boy, and he says that when I came to America, I didn't have too much experience. But
So
Lena,
I
just want to let you know.
Lena, no,
My
what's your
question
question?
I'm not sure if I should go back with him or not, because I just continue to think about the child. And I also think about the abuse and everything. And I say to myself, I told him, I said, we need some counseling, but I'm not sure if I should go back. It's just really frustrating, and I don't know what to do.
What was his response to we need some counseling?
He said, yes, he's willing to do, but the point is the distance between him and I. He's in a different state, and I'm in a different state. And he said he's willing to do, but the distance is a problem. But I'm just still scared. I'm really scared because...
So here's the thing, Lena. Here's the thing. If you guys are going to, the decision of staying or going, it would require that you be in the same area to begin with. Like if you're going to work things out, you have to be together. If you're going to stay together, you'd have to be together. Right now, because of the distance and because of the separation, there is no option for any reconciliation. Like it just, I don't know how that's going to work.
I disagree. Lena, there are folks that I see, one's on one side of the country and one's on the other, and we get together in a video conference and we test the waters to see if both people are becoming more trustworthy and if they're doing their own individual work to give any reason for hope for a future. There are ways to work through this. It would be tough. It's tricky to find. It's tricky to set up, but it is doable. But it doesn't depend on that little boy inside him. It depends on the man today and if he's choosing to be different and get help, whether or not you can get couples counseling set up. Has he done major work on his character since you left him? And is he showing you evidence that he's changing, that there's any good reason to trust him?
Because we're not in the same city, he constantly calls me, but I don't answer his phone all the time. I only answer his phone at time when I'm available. because I don't want him to feel like, I can just call her at any time. I want him to know, like, look, we still have some issue that need to fix. And in order, we can't just push that issue aside, communicate on the phone all the time. We need to find a way for us to get together and sit with a counselor and work these things out and discuss this stuff that I have. Because you hurted me. You were verbally abusive. And I grew up in a house where my parents were abusive to me. So it really hurted me throughout the year. I even shed tears on him.
Okay, Lena, you hear the music. We're coming up to a break. Hold on through the break. We'll finish up with your call right after that. So you listen to New Life Live. We'll be back in just a moment.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
Every Man's Battle, I fought it the whole week with my wife. Within 2 hours, you could have opened a book. It showed me where my life has been ever since I was a little boy.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online Saturday, March 6th. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
He said, this may have saved my life.
Every Man's Battle was a life-changing experience for me and a marriage-saving experience for me.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We're talking with Lena. She's struggling. She's divorced, wondering if she should get back together with her husband, doesn't live near him. What do you think, Becky?
Well, the thing that we were talking about is there's so many complicating factors here. And, a sign of moving forward with him would be he would be investing in getting counseling with you or by himself or whatever. There would be some forward motion. There would be no question on your part, Lena, that he was doing some good work. At the end of the day, when we talk about whether we should stay married, whether we should divorce, God hates divorce, all of those kind of conversations, we really want somebody to put that stamp of approval on it. But the hard part is it's got to be your work. Your decision to divorce is connected to a whole lot of things that when it's all said and done, that you have done the work so that the next relationship doesn't get reflected back to the old relationship where the work wasn't done. Does that make sense? I know that's kind of cyclical, but it's just, it's so hard. Relationships are complex, and these folks aren't even in the same room. So we got to find a way to move forward, but where we're not making the same mistakes over and over again.
I think it is important to consider also your ex-husband's apparent remorse and regret, although I don't hear that evidence of structured help that he's getting. I hope he is. But if you have a child together and he's expressing some remorse, even just the fact that you have to co-parent with him, but what you should be looking for to find out if there's any sign of change is the structured help, that he's willing to give you evidence, let you talk to the therapist that he's working with. He is taking taking full responsibility for how he has treated you, and he's able to empathize with the pain that he has caused you. Those are signs of real change.
And in time, he would move closer.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. What book could we send? This is a tough one. Let's see.
It is. I think Take Your Life Back.
I was just going to say that. So, okay, we're going to send you Take Your Life Back. Thank you for calling, Lena. I want to talk to Jim. Jim is in Sioux City, Iowa. Listens on Sirius XM. Hello, Jim. How can we help you?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I love your show, by the way. Thank you. You guys are just awesome.
Thank you.
I'm a father of an adult son, 21 years old, who I haven't seen in 2 years. He, from the time, my question is going to be, how far should a father go trying to establish contact or reconcile somehow with an estranged child? My son was always probably troubled. When he was very, very young, we started noticing extreme private temper, like not outbursts, but he would destroy things in his room. He would tear pages out of books and shred them. He would mangle his band instrument. You'd see him clench his fists, and you knew he was angry. And he was, as he matured and got into adolescence, he probably became, if he wasn't already, very depressed. I a couple times had him in a suicide watch. So I know he was laden with emotional problems, and he always refused treatment, wouldn't do anything about it. But 2 years ago, he gave me a hug on a visit and said, "I love you, Dad," and he walked away, and I haven't heard from him since. And there was no fight, there's no arguments. He will not, I have an ex, he will not tell my ex what the problem is. He has a sister. He won't tell her anything. We've talked to other friends. He just refuses to even discuss it with anybody. And, I tried to reach out with text and messenger and things like that for the first, year. Tried not to obsess about it, but, maybe once a week. Hey, how are you? I love you. I miss you. What can we do? And he doesn't even read the messages. And I just, at this point, I almost feel like the prodigal son. Do I just wait to see if he ever gets reconciled in some way that he wants a relationship with me, or do I, knowing that he struggles with emotional issues, do I show up at his workplace? Do I knock on his door? Do I pester him?
Jim,
parent, you
Jim,
feel like
let's fill in the story a little bit so we can help give you a good answer to this. Because emotions always have their root in something. They make sense if we can dig down far enough. What would be your best guess of the root of his anger?
He's an adopted child, but his anger started at such a young age. I honestly know that his birth mother was a chronic alcoholic and drug abuser and had a similar set of issues. And I almost believed that from a young age, this was something that just kind of plagued him. I can't think of an incident. He had a very happy childhood. We never missed a school event. He was very active in extracurricular activities.
Jim, how old was he when you adopted him?
At birth.
At birth, okay.
I cut the cord for him.
Has he asked you to stop contacting him?
No, he won't. He doesn't say anything.
Well, so I'm thinking about reactive attachment. Obviously, that comes into play if you've got a previous mom. I'm also thinking about any alcohol damage that may have been done in utero that can cause some of the neurological exhibitions that you're seeing with his anger. But I think bigger than that is that his inability to receive love unconditionally from you is where the barrier is. And so the quick answer, I would say, Jim, is don't quit. The love that you have for him is strong. And, there's different ways to express that, not to be imposing, but just to be that constant source of love for him
Jim,
throughout his
we'll
lifetime.
Finish up right after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop March the 27th. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Workshop will be held online Saturday, March 27th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of 7 books, including Growth Has No Boundaries by Drs. John Townsend and Henry Cloud, Take Your Life Back by Steve Arterburn and Dr. Dave Stoop, and the Emotional Freedom Workbook. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. Jim, thanks for your patience here. Becky, you want to continue with what we were talking about at the break here?
Yeah, so Jim, and I know Alice has a couple of questions for you, but the short answer I was giving you is don't give up. It's hard when you don't have reciprocated love. You have love for him, but, you know, he hasn't asked you to leave him alone. You know, there hasn't been this big explosion of, you know, go away kind of thing. And because of the way that his brain works, he may not be able to know how to accept the love that you have for him. I don't know all of this because I don't know all the details, but the short answer I would give you, Jim, is don't give up. And I would pray for God's grace for you to continue to love him till that day that, who knows, he may come around.
Jim, hearing that you have so consistently attempted and reached out to your boy, I would guess that your love tank is starting to run on empty and that there maybe aren't many others who are refueling you. Is that the case?
Boy, that's a great question. I don't feel the love tank has diminished at all. But it's become, it's just harder because I feel like I'm not, what I'm doing isn't working. So I feel like the only thing I can do is patience. And, you know, God knows that's hard.
Do you know where he works?
Do I know where he works? Yes.
Well, one of the suggestions at the break when we were talking was maybe you show up there, give him a cup of coffee, just say, I've been thinking about you, and let that be it.
And I want you to question your doubt that your love is working. Because I actually see strong signs that it is working. Jim, I work with way too many parents who have been told by their children, get out of my life. It must feel like a small sign that he hasn't told you that because there's so much hurt in his silence. Your heart must be real bruised up by not receiving anything back from your son. But that hug and that I love you, Dad, that's a shining moment. Your son may lack some of the capacity to show love. So the little he has given to you, I actually think is terribly significant about the role you play in his life. I think you've been divinely appointed as his father. And I ask that you keep reaching out to him despite his lack of contact. Your love is having an effect on him.
Not to be hyper religious or anything, but it reminds me of the love that God has for us and how many of us just ignore him. And yet that love that God gives to us freely, without measure, overwhelming us.
He keeps pursuing us.
And so many of us just go, we're just not even connecting. So, Jim, not to make you out to be God, but I mean, literally, if you're questioning whether you should continue to reach out and connect, I would say until you're told otherwise. Until you're told otherwise, knowing that this is the good thing to do.
Thank you, Jim, for calling us.
You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, we appreciate your call. What should we send them?
Well, we'll be praying for that too, because it's just, it's just such a powerful, I would say maybe one of the devotionals, 100 Days of Healing, might be a
that idea.
Good thing.
Okay, we'll send that to you, Jim. Thank you. Okay, I want to go talk to Chris. Chris is from Orlando, Florida. Listens on Sirius XM also. Hello, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing well. How about yourself? How can we help you?
I have a long history of recovery. I had been abused as a child, filled that wound in my heart with all the different things. And I've gotten so much recovery. I've gotten freedom through coming to know Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I've gotten to know freedom in healing.
Wonderful.
And to the point where I can be encouragement and hope. Yes, it's a great victory. Mm-hmm. But something has been plaguing me recently, and I didn't know what it was until somebody just blatantly said to me in regard to misjudging another character in my life, that I need to take off my rose-colored glasses and see people for who they are and to hear what they're saying, but also hear what they're not saying. And I was, it's a chaplain who said this, and in love, and as soon as she said it, all these faces popped into my mind. Like, I knew it was true. Like, I could feel my heart soften, like, oh, goodness, there's something there. And I'm just not quite sure. I do have good discernment in certain areas of my life, but there's some sort of block. And, in my mind, I'm like, I have no idea where to go with this.
What does your participation in recovery look like these days?
I'm a mental health coach. I help people in freedom. I had a past in the occult, and so I help people in freedom in that, and just helping people break free of, or shine the light, really, get God's principles and truth into their beliefs. So kind of dissecting what they believe and going back and just saying, God, I confess I believe this, and, leaning on what he says in 1 John 1:9, that he'll forgive us and he'll cleanse us of all unrighteousness. And it's just a very practical approach.
In what ways are you receiving support in your recovery still?
Oh, sorry. I also receive coaching. I have mentors in the program, not any formalized program, but from different people who have come alongside of me in my journey.
So, Chris,
they're really at my disposal. Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, when the chaplain said that to you, you said you had an initial response to that there was a part of that rang true for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you had visions of people who you immediately could apply that truth to, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, this is just a guess, sometimes that when we put on rose-colored glasses for other people, it's a way for us to shield from those really hard conversations. If we see people all good, then we don't have to speak to those things that may need to be addressed, especially if you're in, a recovery, or if you're coaching or whatever, what kind of relationship. It's also hard to be vulnerable in situations where everybody's all perfect. Like if everybody's all good, then I can't be real with me. I can't present my real self because they're all good. Or for that matter, I can't see where their pain is. Now, I don't know if any of that applies to the way you're thinking, but the question of how do you discern people's character is, I think people tell you who they are. And when you pay attention to that, not that you judge them, but you can be curious. You can ask them more about that. And obviously, if you've done recovery work, you know what that's like to sit in those rooms and to hear people share their heart. I think the big challenge is to not go from not discerning at all, trusting everybody, to judging and being so discerning that you're not going to allow anybody to have any room to have faults. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
It is. I guess where I see that as ringing true for me is that I look at people, and because I've had so much hope in my life that I feel like I might be projecting and putting something on somebody that's not where they're at. And unfortunately, it impacts my family because these are the children, these are the people that I bring my children into their life, and then it really kind of falls apart. Friends, past relationships. And Chris, I don't want to keep projecting, and I'm not quite sure how to not do that.
Do you trust people too quickly, and then you end up having problems because you missed some character defects or risky behavior that these people are involved in?
Yeah.
So I would say a first step would be to start to create some boundaries of things that you will and won't do with people that you're serving or that you're, ministering to. Regarding your family. And, it's interesting because in our training, in our counseling training, we're taught how to, we have these boundaries of who we can have other relationships with, not clients. We don't have these multiple faceted relationships, but it's sometimes hard when you're in ministry. People who you're serving may not be your best friends or may not be people that you bring over, especially if you're working with some folks that you don't really know very well.
And if your children are exposed, be cautious and be very slow in the process of vetting people before letting them deep into your personal life or even into your home. We're called to be generous and we're called to be hospitable, but we're also called to be discerning and to protect our children as they can't necessarily protect themselves.
Thank you for your call. I want to send you Safe People.
Great book.
I think it's John Townsend.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big smile on your face.
Actually, I think it's Henry. Is
it Henry?
I think it's Henry.
Well, it's one of those two.
I love the book.
It's a great book.
It's a great book. Yeah. It'll be a good primer for that issue. I also think that, God love you, Chris, for seeing the good and the hope for these folks that you're serving, because they need that. But you did some hard work before you got to the place that you are, and that's where their work and their journey is.
Okay, thanks for your call. We'll take one more call right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800. New Life.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. Before we take a call, a couple points of business here. Just want to encourage you to make a gift to New Life, please. If you make a gift to New Life this month, we'll say thanks by sending you Understanding and Loving a Person with Depression. That's a book that we did a year or so ago. We did a series, the Arterburn Wellness series. And it's a very appropriate book during this time of the pandemic and all. There's a lot of depression going around. Also, I want to remind you, tune in tomorrow, special show that we taped honoring Dr. Dave Stoop. We did a live one on Monday. We taped the second hour, and it's very affirming to Dave. It's a blessing to you, especially any of you that have had any interaction with Dave. Please sign on and listen to that. Other workshops are coming up. Just don't want to forget about Every Man's Battle every month. And we've got the Life Recovery Workshop, the Emotional Freedom Workshop coming up this week. And along those lines, I'm going to go and talk with Gordon on line 3. He's in Orlando, Florida, listens on WTLN. Hello, Gordon. How can we help you?
Hello. Well, I just wanted to give a praise report, a thank you.
Okay, love that.
I come from a pretty dark background. My father was taken away from his mother when he was in the 20s, back when you could pretty much do anything to children and still keep them. His younger brother was born in jail. My mother, the addictions in my family, my father's sex and alcohol and pornography and food, but my mother was the abusive one. And by the time I was about 7, I needed a drink.
Wow.
And I found it by the time I was 10, drank to get drunk from the very start, and went from there to drugs and everything else. Diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 15, multiple surgeries, got sober at 26, and I've been sober now for 34 years. And I guess when I got sober, that's when things really started getting rough, because that's when there was hell to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to share was that I did the 5-day Every Man's Battle back, a million years ago. I've been following y'all since you were the Minireth Meyer Clinic, and I listened to the boys. I think, were you out of Houston? But anyway, long story short, I came to I think at the time it was called Finding Freedom.
Yes,
it was
sir.
the last in-person.
I remember it.
Was it Anaheim, California?
Irvine.
Irvine.
Yep.
And I was going through a difficult time, and I came, and it was. I just want to tell everybody it was a tremendous blessing. I didn't really see all of the blessing initially, but all of my life I've lived with this mass of rage in my torso, and it's like the freckles on my face. I never have experienced time without it. It's probably part of the sponsor of the Crohn's disease. But anyway, in August, it was lifted.
Wow.
I think it was generational demonic oppression. And it wasn't like I saw it or felt it. Just one day I looked and it was gone. And then later I came to realize that underneath it was this mass of anxiety. And this past February, the first Monday in February, I think it was the 3rd, that was lifted. Now, I was aware of it the day that happened.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful. So, I'd love to tell you that it's all rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah.
But, I lost my job because of COVID last July, and I haven't been able to find work, and I've been sober for over 34 years. My sponsor died in the fall. One of my dogs died in the fall. One that I was in remission for the Crohn's, and now I'm back. It's active again. Lots of things. But what I can tell you is that I am not the same person that I was.
Can hear it in your voice.
That I've been my whole life. My oldest long-standing prayer, before I knew it was a prayer, was, please, God, just let me out of here. And by that I meant life. All of my life, all I ever wanted to do was not be alive. And I still find life to be pretty scary, and I'm still on somewhat tenuous tread with God. But I love the New Life Ministries. I've been listening to you forever. I've sponsored you. I had to finally stop because of no income this past fall. But I've sponsored you for years, and
well, I just can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough for calling.
I just love the work that you do for everybody who. It's like a light in the darkness, like a lighthouse.
Well, let that be an encouragement to everybody who's thinking about coming to finding to emotional freedom.
Well, all of your things, I would, I mean,
oh yes, all of them. I agree. Just this one's coming up next week.
I would say that all of them.
Gordon, you're such a testimony to the fact that it can take ongoing work for years to reach these different levels and experiences of freedom that you have had. So I honor your perseverance, and it's motivating and inspiring to hear. Keep up the good fight, Gordon.
Well, I was, our small group, we are looking through the New Testament. We read this week in Galatians. And in Galatians, I didn't realize that it was 14 years after Paul had his conversion, and he was called by God, and he had been preaching and all, that he went up to Jerusalem to meet with the apostles and was accepted by them. 14 years.
Yeah.
And it takes time, folks, and I just want to encourage that. We are in a culture where instantaneous seems to be the only thing. If people don't actually answer your text, in a minute, you're wondering, are they mad at me? What did I do? But 14 years it took for Paul. I don't know what God had in store for those 14 years for both the apostles and for Paul himself. But there was something brewing and percolating. And let your healing percolate. I mean, I just can't, I don't know why I got onto this, but it just hit me when I was listening to Gordon. That it was last year, and then it was March, and then in August he sensed that healing.
Right.
And it wasn't just the passage of time.
Right.
It was Gordon's ongoing effort and participation with God, even when God felt distant.
Right.
He kept coming back for more help.
The willingness. It reminds me, and I was looking at scripture when he was talking, same thing, but it's from Isaiah 55:3. Come to me with your ears wide open. Listen and you'll find life. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. I will give you all the unfailing love I promised to David. And I think about the journey that everybody begins on, and they think it's going to be instant, like you said, Larry, but it is, you've got work to do. I mean, Dave Stoop himself said, don't die before you're dead. You've got work to do. And we got to finish strong, and to be in a community that is supportive is so powerful. And I would encourage everybody to pray for Gordon, but Gordon, I would encourage you to get into group too, because you need those people around you.
Yeah. So folks, consider that workshop. I want to close too by just asking for your support again. It's kind of my passion and my role here a lot is to come in and seek your help. And I don't do that just because we're money grubbing and got to have this money. We do this because people are hurting. People need help. People don't know where to go to get help. And they turn to what we're doing because we're not afraid to take on any issue. No matter what you're hurting, what your relationships have been, what somebody did to you, what you've done to somebody, God wants to give you another chance. He has not left you. You're not outside the shadow of His love and His mercy and His grace. And because we believe that, we see that God's Holy Spirit makes changes in people's lives. So thank you for listening to New Life. Thank you, Becky and Alice, for being here. And thank you, folks, for supporting New Life.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.